Good morning, day 172. I realized the other day when I sat down to write, I counted one day twice. I actually got my day count off right. So when I got my day count off. So here we are, day 172. I was all excited the other day about 170 and it was actually day 171. So anyway, that's all right. So good morning. It's Tuesday where I am, and it's a little bit later than I normally get on here, which God is actually using. Of course He is. That's what He does. And I have been going through a little bit of a turmoil personally, and the title of today's reflection is forcing the issue. That's what I was doing. And I was backsliding a little bit in my natural self, in my ego. Mama's not happy unless everybody's happy. I know it's usually the other way around for most people, but in our family and for me, I can't be happy unless everybody's happy. Or I even see some things that I'm like hoping for other people and just trying to rush the process in other people, getting out of my lane and getting into other people's lanes. And anyway, that, and then inviting in a feeling of overwhelm, which I have worked hard to get out of most of the time. But that's why it's work, it's something I'm always going to have to kind of be vigilant about and watch out. I know the signs now, so I caught it pretty quickly. But it still took a minute to get out of it. My ego was getting caught up. So, and I think that is what is happening also to the folks in Judah. So Babylon has come. I'm going to mainly focus on a passage in chapter 42, or some passages, or just the chapter 42. How about that? Of Jeremiah. And the Babylonian invasion has come. They have taken almost everybody. The exiles are over in Babylon in exile. And but they left a remnant in Judah, and Jeremiah stayed behind with those folks, and they are just a mess. I may have to walk the other way. We've got a lot of mosquitoes, even though I put my bug lotion on. For those of you listening, I do this on video too. And I'm in Florida right now with high humidity and the bugs and the mosquitoes love this. So anyway, back to Jeremiah. And Jeremiah, a contingent of guerrillas or leaders, the kind of tribal leaders left behind, come. They had already kind of taken matters into their own hands and forced the issue already. But then they're really in this decision mode, trying to come to a collective agreement of, should we stay here or should we go to Egypt? And they come to Jeremiah and they say, okay, you ask God about it and we promise we'll do whatever God says. So Jeremiah says, okay, I'll do it. So he goes and prays, and it takes 10 days before he hears back from God on this. And I can imagine people that already probably have a decision already made or an idea of what they want in their minds, that they are, that they've kind of already 10 days, we know what we're doing. And so Jeremiah comes back with the answer and says, I am you've already decided what you want. Here's what God says, but I know you've already decided what you want and what you think is best, and it's not going to go very well for you. That he gets the message from God that everybody needs to stay in Judah. God will protect those that trust him and stay in Judah. And they have already decided, nope, we're hungry. I think we're going to starve here. Famine is on the horizon and we don't have enough provisions. We're going to make our own decision and we're going to go to Egypt. And Jeremiah says from God, all the things that you think are going to happen, or that you're protecting yourself, that you think are going to happen if you stay here, it's going to happen to you even more in Egypt. You think you're going to be hungry here, you are going to be starved over there. Like, that's the ego talking. So then as we come back to ourselves and we think about our transformation journey, and we even have a contingency of selves in ourself that is like, we've got to make a decision. We've got to, we want to force the issue. We're impatient. We're like, we know something's coming, but we want to start controlling it. We want to start controlling the outcome. Like, we're pretty sure we know, we see the writing on the wall. So we're just going to jump ahead, be proactive. We're going to really try to, we're going to force the issue rather than be patient. Oh boy, that is just so real and so true. And sometimes it takes forcing the issue and kind of failing or not getting what you thought you would get in the outcome to kind of settle down and go, oh, maybe I should trust the process. Maybe it won't be so bad. When you force things and try to get your way through willpower and force and rushing and impatience, you usually, your brain is telling you, okay, this is how we can prevent all these things from happening. We're going to help ourselves by doing this. And usually we bring about the very thing that we were trying to prevent even quicker. It's a true story. When you're in this process of change and you're like everybody, and maybe even people around you, like what I was doing this week, trying to make everybody happy and then me getting overwhelmed. And then nobody was happy because then I was overwhelmed and I was reacting and trying to force issues all over the place. And I wasn't willing to admit my role in it. I was forcing issues within myself and with other people, packaged in niceness and, trying to satisfy everybody. When you try to satisfy everybody, nobody gets satisfied. And that nobody really wants to follow the directions. There's no consensus. People, like, the contingency already comes with their own agendas and their own needs. And nobody wants to do what's really best for everybody in some cases. So when we're talking about, well, the decision's already been made. We're going this way. We're being confirmed by God. And we even had to wait 10 days. That's what I really focused on in this one. I was like, 10 days, wow. Have I ever prayed to God and been patient enough to wait for an answer for 10 days? Or am I just rushing through onto the next prayer and even forget about what I prayed about? Like, our timetable and our agendas don't line up, which is why we force the issues. We're like, I in particular, I think I have talked with you all about my, a lot of this for me goes all the way back to childhood, and it does for you too. Like, we have a lot of things in childhood where our minds, our bodies, our nervous systems had to sort of try to make sense of something and incorporate ways of being from the adults in our world that didn't necessarily make sense. And yet we carry that into adulthood and keep repeating it, and we don't even know. What you don't heal, you repeat. And that has been true, definitely been true for me. I can see the writing on the wall. Literally, I'm like, okay, let's just go ahead and make the change. Let's force the issue. Let's interfere. My friend Gina says, enter fear. We let fear enter into the picture. We start interfering with the agenda, with God's timeline, being impatient, forcing the issue, thinking, well, if I just get it over with and get it done and we get to that place, then we can just get to business of the thing. And then we can worry about this. Like, we can't worry and do what we need to do until we're there. And so we're constantly like trying to get there and rush and force things, when sometimes there's work to be done right where you are and you're not paying attention. And you're just you just see the whole trajectory and you just force. Like, let's get from one stage to the other. But part of going through a process is that each stage of the process and each step of the process has something in it for you, for your good, for your development, for your learning, for your future. And we rush and blow right through it. We're so focused on the end that we're like, ah, and we see the writing on the wall, we force it and we rush it. And then what needs to take place at an identity level doesn't get a chance to take place. But because we forged ahead quickly, we can convince ourselves that the work's been done because we're here, even though mentally and our body and our nervous system is back there going, wait for me. I hope this makes sense. This is some big stuff to sort of unpack and go through, especially when you're going through it. And you've got to go through it in the midst of, your own community of selves and in real life with other people and their own agendas, and they're on their own journeys. And then their journey isn't lining up with our journey and their agendas. And we want to, everybody, we think, oh, well, if we're all on the same page, that'll be what's good for me. Not necessarily. You create chaos by trying to do that. And your brain is telling you just the opposite. Like, if we get all on the same page, we'll have order. But when you force it, you create chaos. Trust me, I've been there, done that in the past 10 days. Where egos were bumping up to each other like, you're not doing it my way. This is the right way. You're not doing it my way. And we're all just trying to put smiles on instead of just saying what it is. We're trying to come to a consensus where everybody can be on the same page. And sometimes you just can't be. And it's okay, because they're on their journey. You're on your journey. They've got their work to do. And you forget why you came together. It's to be lifted up and to have community and to have family. We're not here to be dictators to each other and run their lives. Well, maybe with little bitty children you are, but because they need it. But we've got to allow the process to unfold for yourself, for all of the parts of yourself, to get on the same page and move together in a unified fashion versus one part of you, usually the fearful part, trying to force the issue and then convince everybody. And then you get way off track. We slow down the process. When we interfere in such a forceful way, in an already decided way, and rushing things, we prevent ourselves from making progress quicker than we really would if we just one foot in front of the other, doing what we can on that day to the best we can, and waiting. We don't need to rush. We're so destination focused that we forget that the real life is lived in the journey, and our identity is formed in the journey. Even though we're moving towards the destination, our identity is formed in the journey, in the waiting, in the working it out with other people and within ourselves. I don't know. I don't know if this made sense today, or but it helped. It's doing a work in me, and that's all I'm doing here is sharing my journey. And even this morning, with the timing of being on here a little bit later than normal, there was that part of me that's like, no, we've got to get it done, and this is it, and you're late, and it was trying to rush me. It was trying to force me, and I had to sit there and go, no, that's not the point of this. It's not about the time on the clock. It's about the time of day and going through the process and what is happening in the process. And if you get focused on the clock, or being there for the exact right time on the sunrise, but you're not, and you're making that the focus versus your time in the Word and learning and meditating on it, you're missing the boat. You're going off to Egypt when I told you to stay here. So even I, with in my humanness, I'm like, have to I had to do this negotiation, this internal negotiation with myself today. And I think I had even said out loud, and it was on my agenda to finish the book of Jeremiah. And I was like, I'm not going to rush through this book and just skim it and fake it. So we're going to spend one more day in Jeremiah. And we're going to trust the process. I'm not going to try to force my own way. Because the magic and the creating of the new identity and the work in me and me becoming who I need to be is happening in the process. And I'm going to missing 1 day or 2 days of that by trying to force it and go my own way and force the issue, I know will be detrimental. And then I'll just backpedal. I'm not going to do that. Now, I might do it today with my son or my husband or my daughter, but I'm not doing it with this. Hey, one thing at a time, right? All right. We've got to be able to laugh at ourselves. And we're human. We're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. We can just be in process and hopefully connected to the Creator, so that we can be more of who we really have the potential to be versus forcing our own agendas. Okay. It's going to be a beautiful day. Go have a beautiful day yourself. Rise and shine.